Hey everybody, I'm Waddles. I hope you're doing well today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a Wither skeleton / Nether fortress farm. This farm will help you get your hands on all sorts of Nether fortress mob related loot, including Wither skeleton skulls. In this chest, I've laid out some of the loot that you could potentially get from this farm, including the ever so elusive Wither skeleton skull. This farm is set up in a way so that all mobs except Blaze and Magma Cube will be brought down to a 1 or 2 hit kill for you. The farm and this tutorial is for Java Edition. This farm will work on the 1.13 update. It should work on the updates before that, as well as updates afterwards, because it is working off of pretty basic mechanics here. There will be timestamps in the description to each and every step of this tutorial. If you enjoy the video or it helps you out, leave a like and consider subscribing. Before we get into this tutorial, I'd like to put a massive disclaimer at the beginning of this video. Do not go into this farm and set it all up if you need 1 or 2 beacons or something silly like that. This farm is a whole lot of work. The farm is easy to build for sure, but the things to get this farm running efficient are not easy to do at all. It will take a whole lot of time. Mob farming in the Nether is very tricky due to how pigmen kind of spawn everywhere, and unfortunately we cannot go on top of the Nether to farm Wither skeletons. So, just to be honest and not waste your time here, if you go into this project and block out no spawns elsewhere in the Nether, your rates will be very bad. Anyways, let's move on with the video now. Inside of this chest are all of the items that you need to get your hands on to build this farm. However, there is some explanation needed with these items. We'll start with the items at the bottom of the chest. The slabs and the blocks symbolize building blocks. They don't need to be quartz, you just need blocks that you will build with. Now, the redstone and the repeaters symbolize, of course, redstone and repeaters. However, I don't have a specified amount of what you will need because that'll change depending on how big you're building the farm. Just know that you will need a good amount of those items. The items in the middle of this chest symbolize a hopper clock. You're going to need to build a hopper clock with this farm, and these items are what I'll be using to build that clock. Again, the quartz is building blocks, and the cobblestone symbolizes some sort of timing block. These blocks could be anything. You could have slabs, you could have torches, whatever. You'll probably need about a stack of those items. However, that can change depending on your timing. The items at the top of the chest are what you would need to build 1 tile of this farm. Behind me, I have 9 tiles of this farm built. That means I would have needed 9 times these amounts here. So if you want to build 2 tiles of it, then you're going to need 4 observers and so on. You kind of get the point. So go ahead and collect up those items and then start looking for a nether fort because you will need one of those too. However, to improve the rates, you're going to need a whole lot of time to light up your nether fort and to slab over or cut off spawns in the nether around you. You can cut the spawns off by, of course, using slabs or maybe even pouring lava buckets around, whatever you want to do. However, this is going to be very time consuming. So with all of that in mind, it's time to go ahead and start hunting for a nether fort. So step 1 is, of course, finding a nether fort because that is what this farm is based around. Right in front of us is another fort that should work fairly well for this farm. In terms of the type of fort you're looking for a fort that goes over a lava ocean. If you have your fort over a lava ocean like I have here, there'll be a whole lot less spawns that you'll need to block out. What that means is that technically you could build the farm in any old nether fortress, even one that goes over land. However, if you decide to do that, you should definitely notice a dip in your rates unless you block out those spawns. Once you've found your nether fortress and determined where you want to build your farm, you're pretty much good to go. Step 1 is going to be setting up some platforms. Now, for this tutorial, I will be setting up 3 tiles of this farm, but keep in mind that you can set up more tiles if you can fit more tiles in your fort. The first platform is going to be even with the high parts of these long stretches. Usually, I make my platforms about 12 or so blocks long with a 3-block gap on either side because that's where we will be pushing the mobs off of. The other platforms are actually pretty easy to set up. You're going to want 3 blocks in between each platform so you have 3 platforms in the end. The easiest way to get up and down to your other platforms while building this farm would be setting up a spiral staircase inside of one of these beams that connects the nether fort to the ocean. You can, of course, use whatever building block you'd like to build your platforms. In survival, I would be using nether brick still, because you'll get tons of nether brick from breaking apart parts of the fortress. Be sure that on either side of your platform, or platforms, you have a 3-block wide gap. For this step, you're going to need your obsidian and your redstone lamps now. Go to the outside of one of your 3-block gaps. Take a building block and place it on top of the ledge, and then take 5 obsidian blocks and place them straight across the fortress like that. Now take another building block and place it on the end of the obsidian. Place a redstone lamp 1 block back, touching that building block, and then place 1 final obsidian on the outside of that building block. Then break that extra block. You should have something that looks like this now. Now on the other side of our platforms, again on the outside of the 3-block gap, start off the same way. Place a building block and then place 5 obsidian. This time, place a 6th obsidian and then place a building block and a redstone lamp behind that building block. Break the building block out afterwards. Now you should have something that looks like this. Go ahead and copy that on the other floors. If you're doing that, make sure each wall of obsidian lines up with the center block of these 3 wide floors. That means this is 2 blocks higher than the floor of each platform. Now it's time to set up our mob pusher. This thing is kind of tricky to set up, but it's really not that bad. To do this, place an observer facing inwards at one of your lamps. Keep in mind that you could do this on either side of your farm, it doesn't really matter. After you place that observer looking at the lamp, place a slime block touching the observer. Now you're going to need some extra building blocks because you need a sticky piston facing inwards at that slime block. After you have something that looks like that, go to the other side of this thing that would line up with the other lamp. So for me, it's going to be the outside. If you built it on the other side with the lamps that look like that, it'll be on the inside. Start with a sticky piston facing the other side. Then place a slime block, and then again some building blocks so you can have an observer looking outwards towards the other lamp. You should now have something that looks like this. After building this, take 5 more slime blocks and go straight across just like that. When you update the state of this lamp, the whole pusher thing will start and move all the way across to the other wall and then stop at that wall because, of course, pistons cannot move through obsidian. This is exactly what that machine should look like. If you are doing other floors and other tiles, go ahead and copy this machine now. So here we go. I have my 3 machines in now. It's time to build a hopper clock. You can build this clock wherever you'd like. For me, I'm going to build it underneath my platforms down here, but if you're in survival, it might be a whole lot easier to just build it somewhere on the nether fort and run a wire to everything that we're going to wire up. But again, I'll be building mine down here. So of course, go ahead and clear out a little bit of space for this thing wherever you're going to build it. I'm going to build mine on quartz just so you can see it a little easier. Start by taking your 2 hoppers and get them facing into each other just like that. Place a redstone block in front of one of them and place a sticky piston facing that redstone block. Turn around and place a sticky piston facing inwards on the same spot that it would be on the other side, so we have something that mirrors itself. Now take your comparators and place them coming out of your hoppers. Place 2 building blocks on both sides, one behind your comparator and one behind your sticky piston, and then put some redstone dust on top of both of those blocks. That, right there, is your hopper clock. Now to finish off this clock, place a redstone dust coming out of wherever you put your redstone block. Now, we're going to need to run our redstone wire from the hopper clock over to each and every lamp, of course. To do that, you're going to want to start to set up something that looks like this. To start building that thing, run a row of blocks from your hopper clock over towards your lamps. Then, place 1 building block behind each lamp. After that, go back down to the bottom of this thing and start setting up a redstone ladder. This is how you build a redstone ladder. You want a slab on the top half of your blocks on every other block, if that makes sense. So as you can see here, I'm placing a slab, then placing a block on top of it, then placing a slab right next to it, and then copying that all the way to the top of this farm. Once you get to the top, go ahead and start breaking out your other blocks and placing redstone dust. Now you actually only need the dust to go onto the block that is next to the lamp, so you can save 1 redstone dust there. After running your wire all the way up this thing, I'd recommend trying to turn the thing on and see if all of your lamps turn on. If you built it on the side where your machines were, the machine should depart and head towards the other side. However, as you can see, the signal doesn't reach the top here. To fix that, I kind of just play around with the blocks here and get a repeater in at the top of this ladder just to make sure this final lamp does actually get power. When you do this, be careful that you don't make a complete circuit like I have here because that could cause issues. To stop that circuit from being complete, I'm just going to place a block right there. After getting one ladder in, make sure you get the other side in. At the base of each ladder, I recommend putting a repeater just to make sure you can get the signal all the way up this thing or as far as possible. After getting both of those wired, connect a line all the way up to that single dust that you put in front of your redstone block before. Take a look at your signal and see how far it is reaching. If your signal doesn't reach all the way over to an elevator, like over here, you're going to need to add a repeater in somewhere. And then finally, go ahead and throw your items inside of your hopper clock. Now, these items can be anything. I'll be throwing a stack of cobblestone into the hopper that lines up with the redstone block. Now, it's just time to really be patient. Eventually, you should notice that your redstone block moves back over to the other side and turns all of the lamps on or off, depending on how you have your wire running at the time being. Just like that. There we go. Now, those items inside of the hoppers can pretty much be anything. If you have excess cobblestone slabs, use those. If you have extra nether bricks, use those. If you have torches or something silly like that, go ahead and use those. You can adjust the timing. You could speed it up or you could slow it down. To adjust the timing, put more or less items in the hopper, but to me, one stack is kind of perfect. Some of the timing that you'll be working with will, of course, kind of be dependent on how long you made your platform. If you made your platform longer than I have here, then you might want to change your signal. If it's shorter, you might want to change your signal as well. You, of course, need to make a collection bin below either trench. Now, you want the floor of that collection bin to be 23 blocks below your top spawning platform. So, place blocks and start counting all the way up to 23. So, here's my platform 23 blocks below the top of this farm. You're probably going to want to encase this little falling area with something. It could be glass, it could be just solid building blocks, just to make sure things don't fall out of your falling platform area. And of course, you'll want one of these below each and every gap that you do. Now, in terms of an area around this, use slabs and put the slabs on the lower half of a block. You want to place slabs on the lower half of blocks because pigmen cannot spawn on these slabbed blocks. If pigmen are falling in your farm and you're choosing to kill them, pigmen will, of course, be aggroed to you. You do not want to have pigmen spawning around you while you're trying to use this farm, and then you, of course, die. You'll definitely want to set up some kind of enclosed area as well so you don't get bombed by ghast, because ghast are very annoying. Keep in mind, ghast can also blow up redstone, so you might want to cover your redstone, but it's totally optional because once you get this farm going, you probably won't be going up into the farm all that much. If I was doing this in survival, I would be setting up a nether portal on this platform so I can come in and out of the nether without having to travel around and possibly face aggroed pigmen. An ideal AFK spot would be at least 24 blocks away from a platform. Mobs will not spawn within 24 blocks of the player. So, that's the farm. That wasn't too bad, right? Here's the tedious part. You're going to want to go ahead and start blocking off spawns in the nether around your farm. This is, like I said, tedious. To start blocking spawns, I advise you to start off with your nether fort if you haven't already. Thankfully, you can use torches in nether forts to block the spawns. The ideal torch placement would be 2 blocks apart, so I have 2 blocks in between each torch. However, on these long open expanses here, the blocks up high get a little darker, so you'll need some torches on those too. You need to get everything lit up to at least a light level 12. If you have an 11, blaze can spawn, and if you have blaze spawning in your fort and idling around, that will affect the rates of your farm. Lighting up the fort is kind of tedious, but it's really not that bad in my opinion if you get a consistent rhythm here. When you have areas that are like this room at the end of this hall, you're going to want to just place more torches. I don't really have an ideal placing spot. Just make sure you don't have any 11s in that area. You'll be checking your F3 screen quite a bit probably to get this all lit up. In terms of the spawners, it's up to you. You can take them out, you can leave them here and just put tons of torches around it or glowstone or whatever. But yep, that's kind of up to you with the spawners. So long as you aren't too close to the spawners, they will be deactivated and they won't be a problem. So, after lighting up your fort, you might want to start considering blocking spawns in other places of the Nether. Keep in mind that I am on Peaceful, and that's why I have absolutely no spawns anywhere. To block spawns elsewhere, you can either pour lava over things or start placing slabs on blocks. You could also remove blocks that might be close to a lava ocean. Ideally, you'll want all of the blocks near your farm pretty much within eye's sight, slabbed over. Now that obviously is going to be a massive task, and that's why lava buckets might be a little easier. If you're careful or if you have fire resistance, you can run down to the ocean, grab a bucket of lava, go up a hill and place it somewhere and let the lava spill back down to cut off some spawning areas. And that is exactly why you'll want to build your farm near or over a lava ocean, because if you have an ocean like I have here, this is a whole lot less blocks that you have to light up. If you have access to lots of TNT in your world, you could also use that to blow up smaller chunks of land like this here or an island floating in the sky just to completely remove those blocks altogether. If one was able to cut off all of the blocks near your farm, you will start to see crazy rates on these platforms here. And so that is the farm, the concept, and the whole tutorial. Unfortunately, mob spawning in the Nether is not very fun to work with, and that is because things spawn everywhere. However, like I said, if you put the work in, this farm should definitely pay off. If you do end up putting in that work and getting the farm working like crazy, send me a screenshot on Twitter. I would definitely love to see that. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the comments, tweet me them, or even send me a message on Discord. I am here to help, and I will try my best to get back to you quickly. If you enjoyed the video or the tutorial helped you out, help me out. Drop a like and subscribe. I will have a tutorial playlist on the end slide in just a few moments so you can check out some other tutorials that I have done. If you love what I do, I have a Patreon link down below, and you can pledge for some special benefits such as access to the Dangercraft Patron fan server. My name is Waddles. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Go have a good day. I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.